all of these are things that would make a person want to be happier, but what you would do to address them would be vastly different.
That is such a simple thing to instill into your life to become happier instantaneously.
It's the Kim Gravel Show. It's the Kim Gravel Show.
I wrote this to Bo. It's so terrible. Never knew you were so funny at school. I mean, I know you're fun at home a little bit. You're quick-witted, but I didn't know that you would win the most wittiest. When did that happen? What an encouraging parent. What an encouraging parent.
Wait, tell the people, Kim. We're recording now. I just hit record. Tell the people what you're talking about.
So I get this thing, Mom, I need you to pick up this, and this, because Bo is senior and he won, most likely to make you laugh, wittiest of his class. And I was shocked. Because first of all, remember he said his dad was funnier than me, which is not true. It's not the case. And two, I never knew Bo to be funny. And so I found out because he's like, I need you to give me this. And I said, okay, why? Some crazy things. And he goes, because I have senior superlative pictures. I'm like, you want a senior superlative? And I said, what was it?
Kim, do you want to know? Can you guess? Guess what my senior superlative was?
What was it?
Yeah, I want you to guess. You're never
most intellectual?
No. I went to a very tough school. I was not the smartest person there at all.
Okay.
Most random.
Oh, I totally see that. Oh, I totally get that 1,000%
I think that's like another way to say most creative. So that's how I'm taking it.
Most random. I totally agree with that. 1,000%. I won most talented. So I was most talented in my class.
All right.
So,
that makes sense.
But for Bo to win like the wittiest, most likely to make you laugh, I'm like, what? And so I text him, I never knew you were so funny at school. I know you're fun and funny, quick-witted at home somewhat, but when did you find this out? So if nothing else, I never knew my child was so funny and make people so laugh and be so happy. Okay, because he's kind of a little bit of a curmudgeony person.
I like that you're describing your 17-year-old son as curmudgeony. That's perfect.
Oh, he's like 70. He's like Travis and him would be the Muppets. What are the Muppets that are sitting up in the no, the old old guys.
The old guys. Yeah, they're like,
who are they?
Yeah, totally. That's so funny.
They're just making snide comments. What are their names? Look it up.
Yeah.
That's who Bo and Travis are. I mean, I see those guys. I'm like, that's you and your dad right there. So I never knew he was funny.
Statler and Waldorf. And Waldorf. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I was in shock by that. But anyway, so I didn't know we were taping, but that was we have a happiness expert on the show today. We're talking about being happy, but I really just don't feel like I'm that happy.
Do you not feel like you're that happy? This was a question I was going to ask you, Kim, because I know that you're, busier than a one-armed paper hanger, as you would say.
Bravo for the Southern colloquialism. Thank you.
You know what? Here, you're welcome.
Congratulations.
You're welcome. Round of applause.
Now that is funny. That is funny.
No, but seriously, like, are you happy?
I don't feel happy. Like, I know that sounds terrible. So if anybody out there is, I don't feel happy, but I want to find out what happiness means, because to me, like, joy and happiness, to me, I think happiness is more circumstantial and joy is more contentment. I mean, because life is hard. I say this, it is 85.5% hard, 10% okay. And then you have that little small, percentage of bliss. Other than that, it's just hard. Life is hard. And the quicker you accept that, I mean, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm probably a little bit more of a realist, but you actually can find the joy and happiness.
Okay, I have a question for you, Kim. This is actually really interesting because you always describe sort of your happy place as this very sort of like insular, alone. Like, no. I don't mean that as a bad thing.
I mean, that
are you an introvert? Are you a secret introvert, Kim Gravel?
I think I'm a mom and a woman who constantly gives out. So no, I'm definitely an extrovert. I get fed by people for sure. I love being around people.
Okay.
But I like to be around people who don't want things from me all the time. So it'd be nice to be around people and just laugh and eat and have fun.
Got it.
And I think a lot of women can relate to that.
Yeah.
You know, like girls' trips. Oh yeah.
Okay.
But the daily grind, that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you how do you become a happy person in the day-to-day grind? Because the mental strain on people, period. I'm not gonna dudes have mental strain too, my gosh. But the mental strain, I can't speak to what y'all have. I can just only speak to what women have. The mental strain that's on a woman, her mind never shuts off. So for me, it's not so much isolation, it's more shutting the brain off.
And that to me is so difficult, honestly. I think it takes a lot of like figuring out how do you actually do it in a way that makes you happier, right? Because for me, it's like I'll shut my brain off and I'll go on TikTok for, half an hour or an hour or 3 hours because I get sucked into it. And I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about myself after I've done it or even while I'm doing it if I really think about it. But it's, it's that dopamine addiction.
That's not happiness. No. I looked up the definition. It says happiness is an enduring state of mind, which I think is an interesting phrase. It's an enduring state of mind. So it endures. It endures doesn't mean constant, right? Doesn't endure mean you really have to endure means you got to put up with a lot of bull. You got to put up with a lot, right?
Uh-huh.
Consisting not only of feelings of joy, contentment, and other positive emotions, but also a sense that one's life is meaningful and valid. And to me, having this enduring state of mind that has a sense of meaning and value, now that I can get behind. So if you say to me, Kim, are you a person who has an enduring state of mind that consists of feelings of joy, contentment, and other positive emotions, but more importantly, a sense that one's life has meaning and value? I would say, yes, I'm happy. Because I do have an enduring state of mind of meaning and value. Because I think, again, when you're a person of purpose, it doesn't matter the circumstances. It doesn't matter that life is 85.5% tough.
Yeah.
Because happiness endures. Oh, come on now. And I can't wait to talk to our Gretchen about this. Happiness endures. It's not something that blows with the wind.
Yeah.
It stays. I mean, and I think you can interchange that with joy, because joy is.
Yeah, but joy is different than happiness. I feel like joy is fleeting. I feel like joy doesn't.
Go look it up. Look it up. Let's look it up.
Joy happens in moments. Yeah, I'm looking it up.
I don't think so.
Okay, joy says a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. Okay, well, that's not especially a helpful definition. Let's see. Merriam-Webster says joy, the emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, or by the prospect of possessing what one desires. Oh, that's interesting. Kim, it's the prospect of possessing what one desires, not actually possessing it.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
That's
I'm telling you, it's what I have considered joyful or happy has been directly related to meaning and purpose. Mm-hmm. Because you could not endure and have those feelings of happiness and joy or have that contentment if you didn't have a why.
Yeah. Yeah. You need the why. The why is
the why.
The why is the key thing.
What is your why? What is your why? I can say, like, everybody listening, why are you here? Why do you get up in the morning? What is your why? Because I think when you know that, you can get up and experience happiness, even in the toughest of days, worst of circumstances. And even if you have to go, exhausted to go to a tennis match, then go pick up an outfit for a kid who told you last minute that he's got to have it tomorrow by 8:30 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like 100%. it's your why pushes you. It helps you to endure.
And it informs the decision, right? It's like, is this thing that I'm about to do, does this actually follow my why? Does that actually lead me closer to that why?
Don't you think that is about what parenthood's all about? Because parenthood is not this blissful joy, happiness journey.
parenthood is both about just getting through the day and then also getting through, actually raising a kid who's not a total monster.
It is it's like the day, the years are short and the nights are long.
Well, that's really interesting. So I know that, not to give anything away, but this is definitely something we should talk about, which is our guest today. She's an empty nester. Her kids, I think, she has 2 daughters in their 20s.
No wonder she's happy.
But she has a really interesting way of approaching the empty nest that we should talk to her about. I won't give it away. We should. Okay. She has a different way of phrasing it, which I think is cool.
This thought of living a life of happiness is exciting to me because I think it starts with meaning. And so if you were to say, Kim, what is your why? So I'm going to challenge everybody right now to really think that through for themselves. But my why is to really encourage and see people live up to their fullest potential.
Yeah.
That is my why. That's why I do. If I go and talk to somebody at the grocery store, that's we end up there. If I go and I'm speaking to a crowd of people, I end up there. On QVC, I end up encouraging. I mean, that's just, so I live from a place of my why. And so therefore, no matter what I'm going through or experiencing, I think happiness can be found.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to ask Gretchen about it because she's the expert, but what's your why, Zach?
Well, Kim, my why is to produce this show with you. No.
It's got to be bigger than that.
That's a tough one for me.
Right?
I think it's hard to articulate. I mean, I think, here's the thing, and we've been doing the show for a long time, and I've thought a lot about this. And in this moment, it's hard to articulate my why. It's hard to say it. So, and this is one of those things. It's like saying something short and sweet can be the hardest thing. And again, our guest is so good at that, and that's sort of what her whole book, her new book is. I won't, again, give that away. But I'm super excited about it. I feel like my why is to share, I don't know. I'm going to have to take a rain check on that. I don't know.
Well, I think that's a good question for everybody listening right now is like, if happiness is the goal, right? If we all really want to just live a happy, contented life, because right now the narrative is go to school, make straight A's, go to college, get a good job, get married, have 2.5 kids, get a huge mortgage, and live out the rest of your life until you retire. And that's happiness.
Yeah.
And we both know that ain't it.
That ain't it. No.
At 53, I know that ain't it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it because our guest is here now.
Oh,
so
good.
Let's
Okay,
pull her
good.
in. Let's pull her in.
Pull her in. Pull her in, Hannah.
Okay.
She can help us.
All right. Here we go.
Have you tried Pique yet? They make the best drink mixes. They taste great, and they are deeply hydrating. Y'all, they boost energy and support the whole body wellness from the inside out. And with over 15,000 5-star reviews, I know I had to try it. Y'all, when I tell you they are delicious, and I felt the difference. Pique is on a mission to create doctor-approved, cutting-edge solutions for your head-to-toe health and your beauty transformation. Pique goes above and beyond with its quadruple toxin screening, meaning every single ingredient is tested for heavy metals, pesticides, and mold. So if you're tired of feeling depleted and you want to finally nourish your body the right way, now is the time. Get 20% off plus a free starter kit with my exclusive link, piquelife.com/Kim. That's PIQUE life.com/Kim. Don't sleep on this, y'all. Your body and your skin will thank you. And they're so good. They taste yummy. Y'all, with everything that's happening in the economy, it feels like we're all walking on shaky ground. Prices are so high, I can feel like nothing is, affordable anymore. And it's no wonder so many people are relying on credit cards to cover the gaps. Credit card debt is skyrocketing, and it's so stressful to have credit card debt because it can grow so quickly because of the high interest rates. If you're a homeowner, you don't have to face this stress alone. My friends at American Financing can help you take control. They can help you access the equity in your home to help you pay down these high-interest credit card debts. That will give you peace of mind and real savings. On average, people just like you are saving $800 a month. Plus, they may close your loan in as little as 10 days. Don't let the chaos of this economy get the best of you. Call American Financing now. It costs you nothing to get it started. Call 866-889-5154. That's 866-889-5154 or americanfinancing.net/Kim. NMLS number 182334. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Hey, y'all. Kim Gravel here with the Kim Gravel Show, and I'm so excited about today. I know I say it every week, Zach, and I'm so excited, but I'm really...
I think you should say I'm so happy for today.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I've got a new adjective, people. I'm stepping up. I am so happy today because my guest is here to show some powerful yet simple truths about living life, y'all, with more clarity, joy, and happiness. She is a 6-time New York Times bestselling author. Her podcast, Happier with Gretchen Rubin, has been downloaded hundreds of millions of times, okay? And her brand new book is Secrets of Adulthood. Yep, sign me up. It drops April 1st. Let's welcome
Gretchen Rubin.
Hello, I'm so happy to be talking to you today.
I am too. Listen, that word happy, you got to start off by defining it because Zach and I were kind of jousting back and forth before you came on about what happiness is and what joy is and is it circumstantial? Can you define for us what happiness means, Gretchen, for once and for all?
Well, here's the thing. So I started my career in law. So I remember spending an entire semester arguing about the definition of contract. And happiness is an even more elusive concept. There's something like 17 academic definitions of happiness.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I'm like, I don't think that it's really that useful to spend a lot of time arguing about definitions because for one person, it's peace or it's contentment or it's joy or it's bliss or it's well-being or, and
Okay.
I think it's, for the regular person, not a scientist to define their terms, but for regular people, I think it's more straightforward to think like, well, what would make me happier? Because am I happy is very confusing, but well, if I did this week, this month, this year, would this make me happier? Would it help me move in the right direction? That I think is very easy to understand and it's easy to agree kind of on that. So I just sidestepped that question altogether because you're right. It's very hard. It's hard. And I think it's kind of boring actually to argue about definitions. So whatever it is for you, let's talk about how to get more.
I love it. Okay, well, you didn't just go to law school and do the law thing. Girl, you were editor-in-chief of the Yale Law Journal.
Yes.
And you clerked for the Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. How do you get from law, which, I'm just going to say we all know people's perceptions of the law and lawyers and all of that kind of good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Smart.
We love lawyers. Lawyers are the
love
best.
intense, brilliant. How do you get from that to being this happiness, I'm going to say expert, this person who's really, taken a bite out of the happiness apple and lived, you're happy. How did you get there? You got to give us your background.
Okay. Well, it was sort of a 2-step process. So the first thing is, so there I was clerking and I often will ask myself kind of rhetorical questions just as a way to amuse myself. And so I was out on my lunch hour just walking around and I asked myself, what am I interested in that everybody in the world is interested in? And I thought, well, power, money, fame, sex. And I thought, and this to me felt like this one big subject. And for some reason, I just became absolutely preoccupied with this and started researching and taking a lot of notes on the subject of power, money, fame, sex. And this is something that has happened to me ever since I was young. Like I'll get really interested in something, take a lot of notes and go deep. But this got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was taking tons of notes. I was doing it in all my free time. And then finally it occurred to me, this is what a person would do if they were going to write a book. And then I thought, well, maybe I could be the person to write that book. So I went to the bookstore and got a book called something like How to Write and Sell Your Nonfiction Book Proposal. And then I just followed the directions. And that and Power, Money, Fame, Sex became my first book. So that's how I made the jump to writing from law. It was to write that book. And then I wrote a biography of Winston Churchill. So then I wrote some other books. But then my fourth book, so I've been a writer for 10 years.
long time.
Once again, I asked myself a rhetorical question. I was stuck in a crowded city bus in the pouring rain, and I thought, what do I want from life anyway? And I thought, I want to be happy. But I realized I didn't spend any time thinking about what is happiness? Can you make yourself happier? What would I do if I were going to try to make myself happier? Would it work? And I thought, well, I should have a happiness project and learn all about happiness. And it was just for me when I started. I just wanted to know in my own life, but it was so fascinating. And so there was so many things that I wanted to learn about and experiment with that finally I thought, maybe this should be my next book. And then indeed, I've become so interested in the subject of happiness that all my books ever since have one way or another related to the subject of happiness.
Talk about a broad mass topic.
Yeah.
Happy.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, it doesn't matter where you come from, your socioeconomic status, gender, we all want to be happy. Like it is something innate in all of us, right? And if we can't define happy, where's the starting point of happy? Because you said you're asking yourself your question, like, what is the happiness project? Like, how did you do that? Like, what is that? Can we do that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the way I did the happiness project, and that was sort of my first book in this series, was I thought, okay, I'm going to take a year and I'm going to do a bunch of research into like what, ancient philosophers and contemporary scientists and everybody in between say can make your life happier. And then I'll try to apply it in my own life. So for instance, everybody agrees that if you had to pick one thing for a happy life, if you had to pick one element, you would say relationships.
Sure.
In order to be happy, we have to have strong relationships with other people. And so I had 12 months. I gave myself a theme for all the different months. What could I do to deepen or broaden my relationships? And then I just did experiments to see what would work. And so I did that with different subjects. I think a lot of people know perfectly well what would make them happier. Like I'd be happier if I read novels instead of doom scrolling, or I'd be happier if I saw my friends more often or whatever. It's really a question of execution more than for a lot of people. It's a question of like mystery of what it would be.
Like for me, I think I am the happiest. And as I've gotten older, to be honest with you, Gretchen, it really has become an easier thing to tackle because and to live in that contentment and happiness has been a little bit easier. I'm busier than ever. Like I got 2 teenage kids. I ain't got time for all of that.
Right.
But honestly, I think I'm happier than I've ever been. And I think it's not related to circumstance. It's related to, because I feel like I have a why. I feel like there's meaning and value to the life I'm living now. And it's made a world of difference to just acknowledge. And we all have it, I think. Do you think that is a direct relation to happiness? Yeah,
no, a sense of purpose is, and like having a sense of purpose at work is a huge element of happiness. It's, just mentioning Justice O'Connor, I remember I asked Justice O'Connor, well, what do you think the secret to happiness is? And she answered instantly, like, so obviously she'd thought about it a lot. And she said, work worth doing.
Come on now.
Right?
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what you're talking about. And the thing is, she didn't say paid work. There's many, many kinds of work that people do, but when you have work worth doing, then that is that. So I think, I think you put your finger right on something very, very essential.
It's changed the way I see, even like other people. Like it spilled over into those relationships, like you were talking about, those connections. Because I can recognize it in other people too. Okay, back to the happiness project. Were you unhappy? Is that why you started the happiness project? Or
no, is it just I actually was pretty happy. So I was kind of a good stand-in because all across the world, like when they do surveys of people, most people say they're pretty happy. They say they're either very happy or pretty happy. People are very resilient. A lot of, people are pretty happy.
They endure.
Now, of course, we all go through ups and downs individually, certainly. And then also kind of culturally, like we'll all be like groping with things that bring unhappiness. But I think so when I went into it, I was pretty happy. And one of the things I wanted to achieve with my happiness project is I wanted to have more gratitude for what I already had, because I felt like I was spending too much time on kind of like minor grudges or like, passing irritations and really not remembering how happy I was.
You have to talk about that. You have to talk about that.
Okay.
I think a lot of us live there.
Yeah.
I think, seriously, that can get, you said what? Passing
What did you say? Grievances and minor irritations.
Okay, we have to talk about that. How do you let that go?
Well, one of the things I realized is that like I really have to get enough sleep. Like I'm a person who gets very, very crabby.
I'm screwed.
That's this guy right here.
Yeah.
That is my biggest problem. I was just telling Kim that was my biggest problem right before we taped.
Yeah, I have to make sure that I eat, so one of my things is I treat myself like a toddler because, if you have a toddler, you're like, you do not mess with the sleep. You don't skip a meal. You don't go outside without the coat. Like you make sure they have time to like relax. You don't rush your transitions, like we all know what you need because otherwise you have this huge meltdown. I am that toddler. I need all of that.
That's your next book. Treat yourself like a toddler.
Treat yourself.
I'm totally stealing that.
Okay.
That's the tagline.
That's it.
It's so true, though.
Right?
That is such a simple habit. That is such a simple thing to instill into your life to become happier instantaneously.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah.
And don't rush. Girl, you're so fast. You're so prolific. I can't keep up.
Oh, transitions. So how with little kids, they're like, like with teachers in kindergarten, they're like, now soon it's going to be time to put our toys away. I'm like, I need that. I can't rush or I get very overwhelmed and crabby. And, and I have to eat 3 meals and plus snacks. I have to have my coffee. I have to get regular exercise. This is all things toddler. I need to have downtime during the day. I take a nap. This is like a kind of a new thing that I started
Gretchen,
doing.
You are profound. This is so profound. Treat yourself like Zach, I'm not kidding you. That is huge.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who just like had a toddler, that's...
Yeah.
That is massive, Gretchen. Yeah. And I'm sorry to keep going on and on about it because I want people to really get that. It's so simple. But you're saying that could root yourself in starting off the day. Because I think we think happy is an overall arching thing, right?
Yeah, that it's abstract and confusing. Yeah. But but the thing is, also one thing I like, and I bet a lot of your listeners feel this way, is like, it's hard to take time for yourself. So sometimes if you treat yourself like almost like a third person, like, and I'll say to myself something like, Gretchen doesn't do well if she doesn't get enough sleep, or like, Gretchen needs her coffee, so sometimes treating yourself like a third person kind of helps you follow through with those things. And then I do think things like patience, keeping your sense of perspective, keeping a sense of humor, letting things roll off your back. Like if you're feeling well rested and you've exercised and you're like, you're not starving, like all of these things, it's just much easier to behave ourselves. That's what I found is that I was misbehaving a lot of times just because I was crabby.
Well, I think I have a clothing line on QVC and we just started an in real life collection and it does say cranky. One of our sweatshirts says cranky.
Well, I mean, before I did, that was like I would have worn that every single day.
Yeah. I mean, it does make a difference. Okay. So you wrote a book called Better Than Before.
Yes.
What I learned about making and breaking habits. Do you think a lot of us are in these poor habits and a change in patterns and habits would help us be happier?
Yeah, I really do. Habits are like the invisible architecture of everyday life, and if we have habits that work for us, we're much more likely to be happier, healthier, more productive, more creative. And if we have habits that don't work for us, that is just going to be much more challenging. And so I think for a lot of people, working on even just a few key habits can make a big difference. It's interesting. One of the things people would often say to me is like, well, what should I work on if I want to be happier? Like, what's the one key habit I should work on? Right. And I would be like, well, it kind of depends because everybody's in a different situation and everybody has different values and people have different strengths and different weaknesses. And I could tell the people were very annoyed by this answer, which is like, there is no one right answer because we're all different. So I even have a quiz. If you go to GretchenRubin.com/quiz, it's called Habits for Happiness. And it will tell you, it's not like what one should do. It's like, what should Kim do? With this very elegant design, it just asks like 9 questions and it will tell you what it is that right now, and this could change, in a couple of weeks, you might answer differently. But like right now, what is the thing that if you could address it would do the most to boost your happiness? Because I do think that for most of us, there's a handful of things that if we could get these figured out and locked in, we would just be much happier. And I think most of us know that.
First of all, people love a quiz. So we're going to link everything and you're going to go to Gretchen's website and take these quizzes.
They're fun.
They're fun. And we all love to we all are trying to become more happier, and
Yes.
we want more happiness.
And we
in our
want to
life.
know
So-
ourselves. And it's like, why is it so hard to
Amen,
know
honey.
ourselves? But it is.
because we're crazy, girl. Because we're nutbags. You know, and I will tell you, for me, like I will sit in my own head. This is a true story today, this morning, because I never take time for. I obsess about the obsessive stuff I have to do. It's psycho. I mean, I'm sitting there talking myself out of being happy.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so tired. I can't do this. I can't. And I work for myself. I
Right.
can just go, you know what? I'm taking the afternoon off.
Yeah. But it's
And
hard.
it's like we are happiness. We're our own happiness buzzkills.
Wait, here's just something you might think about because you're very focused on your to-do list. Pause for a to-do list and make a list of everything you've accomplished. Like instead of thinking, oh my gosh, here we are like deep into 2025. Look at everything I have to do. Think like, oh, wait, ta-da. What have I already accomplished in 2025? I bet you would be blown away because with people like you, it's like the minute it's crossed off the list, it's like forgotten. You don't give yourself any credit for all the things
my
you've
God.
already done.
Gretchen, you
I
see
think-
me. You
I
had
think
me at
that's it.
ta-da.
Episode's over. That was the best
Yes.
advice possible.
No, I
That's
mean
it.
the toddler. I'm still on the toddler thing. Y'all keep running ahead. I'm on the toddler thing because that's what I'm gonna do. And now
Yeah.
the ta-da thing, I can't with you, girl. Now I know why you were clerking up there at all the big judge places.
All the big judge places. Wait.
judge
Okay, wait. We have to answer. I don't want to forget though.
Okay.
Kim and I both got obliger on your
Okay.
Four
Yeah,
Tendencies
we
quiz.
did.
That
That's
was
the
So
big-
what does that mean? Who are we? Analyze us, honey.
Can I take a minute and explain the framework?
yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, so the Four Tendencies is a framework that divides people into four categories: upholders, questioners, obligers, which is you and Zach, and it's also the biggest tendency. You like probably everything you say is resonating with the biggest number of people for both men and women because that's the one that the biggest number of people belong to. And then there's rebels. So it's upholders, questioners, obligers, and rebels. And what this looks at, it's a very narrow aspect of your nature, but it's very significant. So what it is how you respond to expectations. So we all face two kinds of expectations: outer expectations, like a work deadline, and inner expectations, like your own desire to get back into meditation. So depending on whether you meet or resist outer and inner expectations, that's what makes you an upholder, questioner, obliger, rebel. Now, this sounds kind of complicated, but once you hear them, you see them everywhere. We could do the Game of Thrones characters. We could do The Office. We could do Better Call Saul. Like they're everywhere.
Oh, Lord.
And you see them in your life. So upholders are people who readily meet outer and inner expectations. These are the people who meet the work deadline and keep the New Year's resolution without much fuss. They want to know what other people expect from them, but their expectations for themselves is just as important. So these people's motto is discipline is my freedom. That is my tendency. Okay. Then they're questioners. Questioners question all expectations. They'll do
God,
something.
That's what I'm married to.
That's what I'm married
That's
to.
I'm married to the first one. My
Okay, you're
wife
married to
is
an
like-
upholder, so I'm
yeah,
an upholder, but I'm
upholder,
married to a
yeah.
questioner.
Yeah.
So they always have to know why. They need reasons.
Oh, God,
they
help
tend to
me,
love
Jesus.
to. They need to love. They won't do anything if they don't understand the reason. They need
Oh,
justifications.
God.
They often overwhelm people with their questions. They can have analysis paralysis when they can't move forward because
Raising my,
because
Yes.
they need more and more information. So they're making everything an inner expectation. If it meets their standard, they think it makes sense, they'll do it, no problem. If it fails their standard, they will resist. So their motto is, I'll comply if you convince me why. Okay, so we will do a sidebar later about what it's like to be married to a questioner. Lots of pros. There are a few cons. Then obligers. Okay, so this is the biggest tendency. This is your tendency. Kim, this is your tendency, Zach, and you are in big company because this is the biggest tendency. So obligers are people who readily meet outer expectations, but they struggle to meet inner expectations. So these are people who say things like, why can I keep my promises to other people, but I can't keep my promises to myself? And the secret for obligers, it's very straightforward, is even to meet an inner expectation, you have to have a form of outer accountability. If you want to read more novels, join a book group. If you want to exercise more, you work out with a trainer, or you work out with a friend who gets annoyed if you don't show up, or you raise money for a charity, or you think of your duty to be a role model for someone else. There are lots of ways to create outer accountability, but that's what you need. And so obligers make great leaders, great team members, great family members, great friends. These are the people that are the most likely to go the extra mile mile. I have had people ask me to create a screening mechanism because they only want to hire obligers because they're such valuable employees, because they're the people that go the extra mile. So the motto of obligers is, you can count on me, and I'm counting on you to count on me, because they need that accountability.
Ooh.
And then finally, rebels. This is the smallest group. Very visible, but small. So rebels resist all expectations, outer and inner alike. They want to do what they want to do in their own way, in their own time. They can do anything they want.
That's my oldest son.
Okay.
That's my oldest son.
This is right. You see it. Like, you're identifying everybody
instantly.
that you know, right?
And that's why I want to like hit him upside the head.
Yeah,
14
well,
times a day.
because they can do anything they want to do, but if you ask or tell them they're to do something, they're very likely to
They ain't
resist.
doing it.
And typically, they don't tell themselves what to do. Like, they don't sign up for a 10 a.m. spin class on Saturdays because they think, I don't know what I'm going to feel like doing on Saturday, and just the idea that someone's expecting me to show up is going to annoy me. So their motto is, you can't make me, and neither can I. And again, most people know what they are just from this description, but you can go to GretchenRubin.com/quiz. Like 3.5 million people have taken the quiz. It's very short and free. And you get a little report that tells you kind of more about the tendency and how to use it.
But Gretchen, is knowing that part of living this happy life that we all want?
Yes, because I think a lot of times people are really confused because they say things like, an obliger might say, look, I don't understand it. Like, I know that I'm happier when I read, and I have a big stack of books that I'm dying to read, and I know that it's good for me. So why am I not reading? Because I'm like, well, because you need outer accountability. So then you need to join a book group. Or maybe you have kids who are doing homework and you say, hey, kids, while you're doing your homework, I'm going to be reading. And if you see that I'm not reading, that means you don't have to do your homework. And your kids will be your policeman for sure. Or you say something like, I'm going to post on social media, and a lot of people are going to be interested to see what I read. And they're looking to see, like, am I finishing books? And if I'm not finishing something, they're going to be like, hey, I guess, like, or maybe you have an accountability partner. My sister is an obliger, and she has an accountability partner for walking 10,000 steps. And so every day, like at 5,000 steps, they text each other, and they just text like 5,000 or halfway or something. And then at the end of the day, they just say 10. But it's like they hold each other accountable, because otherwise, even though it's really important to her, she won't do it. And then, but for a rebel, this could be absolutely counterintuitive, as you probably know from your own child. Like, if you're on their case, if you're monitoring them, if you're checking in on them, if you're telling them what to do, they might end up not doing something that they would otherwise choose to do, because they won't do something that you told them to do. And so if you know you're a rebel or you're dealing with a rebel, it's like, back off. Let them do what they want, because they can do anything they want. But if you try to tell them what to do, they're going to push back. And so telling them to sign up for a class, it's a big waste of everybody's time and energy.
This is a true story. My son called me the other day. This was a couple of weeks ago, and he wanted to go to a concert downtown, and his father told him no, he could not go. And so he finally called me, and I told him, we got this thing like, look, dude, you're going to college next year. Just be honest and real. Okay. That doesn't mean you're always going to get what you want or whatever, but just, you shoot us straight, we'll shoot you straight. And I don't know if a rebel likes that or not, but that's how we like. So he called me and he said, look, he said, I'm going to the concert. I'll take the punishment, or you can just tell me I can go.
See,
and I thought to myself, I appreciated that. I said, I'm going to let you go to the concert because you called me and just shot me straight like that. He said, because Dad said, I'm going to get punished. I'll take the punishment. I'll take the few days without my phone, but I'm going to the concert.
Right. But that's a very rebel thing, which is, I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Right.
Can
you give me permission?
But
can you give me permission?
This is fascinating. I want to think this through. But I think that's just a sign that you have a very close relationship, because in a way he's saying, like, I don't want to flout your rules. But right. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So please, but I want to be honest with you. Well, I think that's,
I appreciated that.
Yes.
I thought that was, I thought that is, to me, that I love talking to you about this, because to me, that is that level of relationship. Yes. I think that you said that really makes us happy and connect, that we're all looking for.
But
I respected him for that.
But here's what you could have said if you really didn't want him to go. Here's something that can sometimes work with rebels.
Give me that.
You could say, look, I know you could go to the concert anyway, and I respect the fact that you're being honest, but I'm just telling you, as your mother, I would be frantic with worry. It really, really upsets me to think of you going there. I really don't think that you're prepared for what could happen. Can I ask you, out of love for me, to choose not to go? Because it would just be such a relief to me. Because sometimes a rebel will do something, not because they have to, not because you're telling them to it, but they will choose to do it. Out of love for you. But you have to frame it that way, because if you're like, well, I'm your mom and that's what I say, he's like, well, you can't stop me.
That doesn't work.
But if you're just like, look, and you could even, maybe it's irrational. I'm sure it would be fine, but you know me, like, and then a lot of time, it's like, and you could do this. A friend of mine who's a rebel, it's like she wanted her husband to go to like a work networking thing with her. And she's like, but the thing is, I feel so much more comfortable when you're with me. It's a new group of people and I'm not at my best. If you're there, I just feel so much more able. And it's really important to me to do well. I'm asking you to do it out of love for me. And then he can graciously say, well, it's not what I would want to do, but I will do it out of love for you. But if you're just like, look, everybody else's spouse is going to be there. Yeah. You have to go, like, what, you don't love me? Like, and it's just like, no, that's not what it's about. And so, but when you understand their tendency, you can speak in the language that will resonate with them instead of getting into needless conflict. Because with like a question would be like, why can't you say I can go? In 6 months, I'm going to be in college and I can go then. What's the difference between now? And what's the difference between that? And we're only going there. And what if I call you that? Then it's like, okay, well, then we're talking about the why. And that's a completely different kind of conversation. But I think that is a beautiful example of a rebel. I mean, look at the elegance of this. People's imagination is... truth is stranger than fiction. An actual human is so much more interesting than, you know what I mean? It's just bananas to me what people come up with. This is why it's endlessly fascinating to learn about people.
At the end of the day, my why makes me happy and my value, but also these connections, these relationships that you're talking about. I mean, we're created to connect.
Yes, we are. I mean, we're the most social creatures on the planet. Yes, that's why it's essential.
I actually had a doctor, Gretchen, that said the key to longevity is connection. Mm-hmm. She actually said it's oxytocin. It's actual, like, our DNA desires it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it feels so terrible to be lonely or to feel like a relationship is like, breaking down and you don't understand why, or like to be in a new place and not be able to like find your people. These are really, really stressful, both for us emotionally, as you're saying, but also physically.
Yeah, but didn't you write this book for your daughter, though? Speaking of like connections.
The Secrets of Adulthood. Yeah, it's all the lessons that I learned the hard way. Yes, I wanted to pass them along to my daughters. Yes, and myself. I find that I'm learning the same lesson over and over. I'm constantly reminding myself.
I'm hard-headed.
Yeah, it's like, okay, working is one of the most dangerous forms of procrastination. Like, I remind myself of that like once a week.
I like this book because it's so easy to read and you break it down into these short little bite-sized nuggets. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a few of those? Can you tease everybody about the book? Because there's some of this stuff, Zach, that we were talking about earlier that blows my mind. Read the one that I just flipped out over. Maybe she can start with that one.
Okay.
Because it was just mind-blowing about the truth.
The opposite of a profound truth is also true.
Yes. I really think it's like we have to accept ourselves and also expect more from ourselves, and a lot of times we're like, there are all these proverbs too, where it's like, absence makes the heart grow fonder and out of sight, out of mind. They're both true. And so I think a lot of times it's helpful to remember, like, well, what would the opposite of that true be? Like with a child, it might be like, hold them tight and let them go. Both are true. Both are true.
They're both true.
They're both true.
Yeah. Let me, there's one that I related to more, like just so much. And I think a lot of people will. Do you know which one?
I do.
Yeah, you totally know which one. Nothing is more exhausting than the task that's never started.
Right?
That to me is like, that is 1,000,000% true.
It's torture.
Yeah. And it's so draining.
It is.
It's draining.
Yeah.
It's draining. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just goes over and over and over and over.
You're like, how am I exhausted by something that I didn't even do? It's way more exhausting than all the things I did.
Well, it's like the Sunday scaries, right? It's like Sunday night hits and you're thinking about your week and you're not starting yet and you feel like you should still be relaxing, but you can't and you're thinking about it and it's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is funny. I've had things where like they've weighed on my mind for like 3 months and then I did it and it was like a 10-second email. And you're like, I could have done that.
But why do we do that, Gretchen? Why do you think we do that? Because it's so true. Like just go clean out the refrigerator. Just go do it.
I know.
Why don't we do it?
There's just procrastination. Other priorities get in the way. I mean, there's a million reasons. And then there's a million, once you know that you're prone to it, you can do the thing like I'm a morning person. So I will, if something's very difficult, I'll wait and do it first thing in the morning. And so I'm not going to do that now, but I'm going to write it on a list and I'm going to do it first thing in the morning. And so I sort of I'm working up to it in my mind. And then I sit down, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do it, but I will.
Do you think we fight our own happiness?
Yes, sometimes some people do, but I think it depends. I think some people do more than others. I think, and how you were saying that you're happier now than you've ever been. I think part of it is we figure ourselves out. We know our strengths, we know our weaknesses. We sort of start building systems in, or we acknowledge the truth about ourselves. We've learned a lot of hard lessons. So I hopefully, like with some secrets of adulthood that we've learned along the way, there's room in the back of Secrets of Adulthood so people can write their own. Because I think when you feel like, oh my gosh, I have a piece of hard-won wisdom, you're like, I got to hang on to that. Because I think we do figure these things out. Or like we understand like how to get along with people better. Just even things like small talk. You know what I mean? It's like you figure out.
Believe it or not, it's very hard for small talk.
Small talk is
hard.
It is hard, but you learn more or less how to do it. Or you also like learn, sometimes an awkward pause falls and everybody gets through it. It's not that terrible. It's not that big a deal, And so with time, I think we learn these things.
Well, I like this quote you said in the book, happiness doesn't always make us feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well, this goes back to like the point that you were making in the beginning about definitions, because I think sometimes people, when they think about being happy, they're thinking about like feeling good and like feeling enthusiastic and joyful. But, a lot of times, to your point about you're happier because your life is full of purpose. Sometimes when we do something because it reflects our values, it doesn't make us feel happy. And I think of an example where a friend of mine had a very difficult relationship with his father, who was not a nice person. His father was sick in the hospital. And he was saying to me, I hate going to the hospital. I don't like being there. I don't, this guy he's been a terrible father. Like I dread it. I look back on it. But he still went because he's still my father. And so it wasn't that it made him feel good to go to the hospital, but it made him feel right. And that his life was reflecting his values. And that's an important part of happiness. Even if it doesn't make you feel happy, it's part of a happier life. And so for you, like doing things that fill you with purpose, I'm sure a lot of it is drudge work or things that you find tiresome or difficult. And yet you're like, but this is part of what I want to do with my life. And so it does make me happy, even though it doesn't make me very happy.
I love that. It's right.
Mm-hmm. It feels right.
There is some satisfaction to that.
Absolutely. Profound satisfaction. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's deep. That's a whole nother podcast. Okay. I like this one. We often change what's easy to change rather than what needs to change.
Yeah.
Oh, you stepped on my toes there.
Oh, really? Can you think of an example in your own life?
I can think of a lot of examples.
Ooh.
Because that's that low-hanging fruit thing we were talking about earlier. Something that's easy to change would be instead of facing something for me. Like I'll just give you an example. I'm dealing with something in business where I've been betrayed a little bit.
Yeah.
So instead of having that hard conversation that needs to happen, I'm kind of just justifying it.
Yes.
And being a tad bit passive aggressive.
Yes. That's a great example.
Which makes me feel a little weak and a little dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want to go full on murder, death, kill, but I'm not going to do that because that does not align with my values.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I need to have the tough conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's a long standing business relationship and very successful.
Uh-huh.
But It needs to happen.
Right. Right.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think even things like people, I think sometimes we're confused. Like somebody thinks, I'm not happy, so I'm going to quit my job and get a different job instead of realizing it's their marriage that they need to tackle. Or like I have a friend who said, she was telling me how for a while she was saying she was going to move apartments. And then I saw her and I said, oh, did you ever decide to move apartments? And she said, no, because, I was telling my real estate broker that I wanted outdoor space, but then I realized I really want a husband. And it's like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's easier to switch apartments, but it's not the same as getting a husband,
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is, but she was, I really just realized this one a husband.
But you realize like that's an important
that's right.
realization.
How do you figure that out? Like, how did she figure that out? Because like a lot of people are sitting here going, okay, I can relate to that.
Yes. Well, okay. So what you need to do, or what always helps me, is to identify the problem. And you might think like, well, of course, if I'm unhappy about something, I know what the problem is. But in fact, often we use these very broad terms like, I'm so stressed out, or I'm so anxious, or it's just not working anymore, whatever. And you have to say to yourself, like, why isn't it working? It's like, what is it that you want? So with my friend, I don't know what she did, but you might say like, why are you moving? I need more sense of space. Why do you need more sense of space? I'm feeling trapped and claustrophobic. What's making you feel, why is your apartment making you feel trapped and claustrophobic? She could go deeper and deeper and deeper. Or like, I have a friend who thought she hated her job. She's a lawyer in Washington, D.C. She was like, I hate my job. I don't want to be a lawyer. I need to get a new career. But then when she really identified the problem, she realized she had a terrible commute. And so then she started listening to audiobooks. And then now her commute was transformed. And she's like, actually, my job is fine. I just hated my commute. And so again, like that's a really dangerous misidentification, because you really, really have to identify what is it. Or like, let's say you're like, I'm so stressed out at work. Okay, are you stressed out at work because your best friend at work got a new job and so now you feel like nobody's got your back? Did half of your department get laid off, so you're doing the work of like twice as many people with the same hours? Do you not have the tools that you need to like stay up to date? Do you feel like your boss is like, like you're not in good favor with your boss? Do you feel like it's not serving your values? So you're like, I don't even understand why I'm doing this job when like it doesn't reflect my purpose in life. Like there's many, many reasons why, or maybe it's just that you like your job fine, but it's crowding out other values that are just as important to you. All of these are things that would make a person want to be happier, but what you would do to address them would be vastly different. So, if the problem is that your boss is not on your side, then saying like, oh, I'm going to take more time for yoga is probably not going to fix it. It might help a little bit, but it's like, okay, you need to think about the fact that you're working for somebody who does not have your best interests at heart. And that is, identify that problem, and then a whole different set of solutions present themselves. But I think a lot of times we're very confused about what the actual problem is.
You have just like nailed it in a nutshell, because I'm sitting here thinking about my circumstance in my business that I said, I think the real problem is that it's not what has just happened between us, but it's that it's time for me to level up. And I've been so comfortable.
Yeah.
And so, so I get what you're saying. I totally get. This is really profound, because so I'm just sitting here worried about this little annoyance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And really it's my happiness meter, or my why, going, you've got something more to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get rid of this person. Work with this person. But in addition to, you're going to have to take another leap off another bridge, off another cliff and jump.
And how often does that happen? I mean, change is scary. And a lot of times it is like, it's easy to get distracted.
Especially when you're comfortable.
Especially when you're comfortable.
And
you're like, finally, I've got my feet under me. I've got a sense of mastery. Like things are starting to feel easier.
And now it's like, and now here's a new thing.
And now you need to take it up a level, and it's a whole new set of problems and challenges and things you don't know how to do, and you feel insecure and anxious and defensive,
tired.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat myself like a toddler, girl.
Yeah,
I'm doing it, starting it tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah.
That's my new philosophy in life.
This is dangerous. Kim's gonna throw tantrums now.
I'm
She's gonna-
no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat myself how I would treat a toddler. I'm just going to take my time. I'll have a snack.
Yeah, have a
I'm going to
snack.
do some drinks. Okay, do you have some happiness hacks?
So many. What
Or some advice? Yeah.
Well, here's some that people have told me over the years have been particularly useful. One is to follow the 1 minute rule. So this is for like getting rid of that kind of scum of clutter and tasks that are on the surface of life that can make us feel weighed down, even though the tasks themselves are small. So if there's something you can do in less than a minute, just do it without delay. If you can hang up your coat on a hook instead of like throwing it over a chair, or if you can put a dish in the dishwasher, or you can print out a form and put it in a file. This just like gets rid of a lot of minor tasks that can make you get in your way. Another thing is this is a really fun one. If you are a person who has trouble managing your phone, like you just kind of can't break away from it, it's very easy to change your settings so that it's in grayscale, which means that it's black, white, and gray instead of in color. So it's like watching your grandparents' black and white TV set. It still does all the things that you need it to do, but it's harder to use and it's much, much less compelling. And it's very easy to switch it back and forth. So if you need to, you could. But what you'll find is that it's much harder to use your phone. And if you have little kids who are like constantly trying to get on their devices, set it to black, white, and gray, and it just will be much less interesting to them. Just tell them that it's broken and you don't know how to fix it. And they'll just find it a lot less interesting because it's just like, as we know with TV.
Great hack.
Yeah.
Gretchen, you have the my mom like style of parenting, which is just to lie to your kids all the time. My mom lied to me about things all the time. I was like 15 when I realized that fish sticks were fish and not chicken, because she told me fish sticks were chicken.
Funny.
They were just called fish sticks.
Oh, that's funny. I used to tell my daughters things were just for display. They'd be like, "Oh, can we buy that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's just for display. That's not actually for sale." So they thought most of the things in the store were just to look at. They weren't actually to buy. Then they learned to read, and they were like, "No, actually, you can buy that." Yeah,
you can buy.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm getting ready to be an empty nester, so I need some advice.
So I'm going to write a book about the empty nest because I'm just going through this. So what are your thoughts?
Well, you have a different title for it. You don't call it empty nest.
I do. I call it the open door phase because I think empty nest sounds sad and open door sounds hospitable and adventurous.
Yeah. I love reframing that. I'm actually a little excited and sad at on both ends of the spectrum.
My phrase for this is I feel relief and grief.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I mean, just give me a little happiness though. I mean, I can just walk around naked.
Yep. I could
do it now too, but I'd scar my kids for life. So.
What a lot of people do, interestingly, is their dinners get odd. Like people are like, "Oh, I have popcorn and wine for dinner," or "I just have cheesy crackers for dinner," or then somebody was telling me how like what she and her husband do is like they'll just eat out of the fridge and then they go to bed and they each watch like shows on their iPad with their AirPods in like next to each other. I was like, okay, like she loved it. She was like, "This is great. We can do this now."
Yeah, that sounds like total bliss, happiness to me.
Well, there you go. But I mean, so there is this freedom because in a way, parenting is performative, and that we're trying to like model good behaviors for our children. And so sometimes, and now for some people, that's kind of negative. Like they sort of. They are less healthy, or they feel like their standards are getting lower in a way that they don't enjoy. So then they need to figure out, okay, well, how do I get my standards back up to where I want them to be? But so it's very interesting. Like, I don't think we're very good at predicting how we're going to respond.
Yeah. Well, to be determined, because mine's unfolding as we speak. Okay, so there's this thing. Before we let you go, Gretchen, everybody's got to go to Gretchen's website. I'm going to give you all that information. You've got to just... You are so magnetic. You're such a magnetic person.
Aren't you nice to say that?
It's the truth. I'm not that nice. I really am not. People would tell you I'm kind, but I'm not that nice. But I got to do something that we do for everybody. It's called rapid fire. So what comes up, comes out.
Okay.
And you're going to have no problems with this. Just first thing comes to mind.
Okay.
Let me hear it.
Rapid fire questions.
Do you think social media makes us less happy?
I think so. I think it makes us more happy and less happy. Both are true.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too, because I enjoy social media.
Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you?
Well, if I take the test, I'm a 7, but I think I'm like a 7 or an 8. Yeah. I'm pretty happy.
Oh, we got to go take the happy test, Zach.
Mhm.
Everybody's
Yeah,
got to
me
go
too.
take the happy test.
All right, we
Yep.
take that.
If you had to put one thing on a billboard in Times Square, what would you choose?
Accept yourself and expect more from yourself.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Oh, that is truth and pain all in one.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's right. That's right.
If you could get a tattoo, what would it say?
Ooh, a word. Wow. I would have to maybe salt. I always pick a word of the year. And this year, my word is door because I'm in the open door phase. But there was a year that I picked salt because salt is like this magical. I wrote a book, Life in Five Senses, all about the five senses. And like salt makes things sweeter. It makes sour things less bitter. It brings out all flavors. It purifies. It's part of tears. It's part of the ocean. It's a rock that we eat. Like it's kind of magical. I feel like maybe
It preserves.
It preserves. Yes. I mean, it has all of these very, very powerful literal meanings and also that are metaphorical too. So I think I would have to, that's why I could never get a tattoo because I could never make up my mind. I could never commit to the bit.
You'd be one body of words.
Yeah, I know. But it's a good
feel.
question.
Yeah, that's how I could never put something. I would want to change my tattoo every week.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
We're too fickle. We're too fickle. We're in and out. We
Yeah.
love too much. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your biggest pet peeve? Oh,
my biggest pet peeve.
I know mine immediately.
Bottled water. I'm like, drink out of the tap, people. You don't need to buy bottled water, or just carry a bottle with you. Like, why did people buy it? Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh, bottled water. That's the best answer ever.
What's
Is it
your
the environmental? Is it
What's your pet
environmental or
peeve?
is it a waste of money? What's the issue with it?
Probably all of the
everything?
above.
Everything.
It's everything. Yeah, I
Everything.
agree.
Nobody
I
get
used to
it.
have bottled water. It's like a whole new thing.
It's like a billions of dollar business going on.
Billions. And then when they test the water, a lot of times tap water is purer than water that's bottled. So it's just everything about it is my pet peeve. What are your pet peeves?
Mine is popping chewing gum. I cannot stand it.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
interesting. Okay.
And
you can't stand
I had to go
chewing.
to a photo shoot the other day, and that little girl was popping that gum. Her jaw was going nine, and I thought, Lord have mercy, I'm going to have to just lose my mind up in here.
Did you say anything?
No, because I'm gonna. What am I?
An
What am I?
obliger, right? Yeah.
I'm an
No,
obliger.
it's pretty aggressive to say to somebody, "Could you please stop chewing your gum?" But I get it.
My son Rebel would be like, "Are you gonna throw out that gum, or you gonna
Yeah.
crack your jaw? What are you gonna do?"
Right.
All right, what are you going to name your new puppy? What kind of puppy did you get?
Oh, we're gonna get a puppy, yes. And my daughters, who really, neither one of them lives at home right now, but nevertheless, they were very committed to this us getting this dog. So they picked the name Taffy,
That's
a good one,
which is a sweet
What
name.
kind of pup? What pup? What breed?
Cavapoo. So half Cavalier,
Oh.
half poodle. Yeah.
Adorable.
We have a dog named Barnaby now, so it's Barnaby and Taffy. So.
Okay, this might be a very controversial question for you.
Ooh, okay,
considering
bring it
you
on.
have clerked for the Supreme Court. Have you ever broken any laws?
Oh, I'm sure that I have.
Not that you've been caught. I'm just saying, have you ever?
I've probably been speeding. I
but
jaywalk
nothing's-
constantly. I live in New York
Nothing
City.
scandalous. Nothing scandalous.
I don't think so. I'm an upholder. I'm a real rule follower. Yeah. So I would be too stressed out. Yeah, to do anything big.
Okay. I love it. What's one habit you want to change?
I'm a hair twister. My whole life, I twist my hair. Yeah, and so I kind of go in and out of it. That's a nervous habit. So in my book, Better Than Before, I write about habit change, and I don't talk about nervous habits, which is things like fingernail biting.
I bite my fingernails.
Yeah.
I get bite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bite my fingernails.
So I don't talk about that. I talk about habits like getting enough sleep or reading more. But if I could change a nervous habit, it would be to stop twisting my hair. Yeah.
I love it. All right. Favorite junk food, sweet and salty.
Oh, I don't eat sugar.
Oh, you know what, Gretchen? That is not happy. That is not being happy.
It is for me. I wouldn't say for everybody.
Well, it is for me too.
I have such an extreme sweet tooth that it just was overwhelming me. And I'm like, I could just not eat sugar. I just don't eat sugar. Yeah. So I don't eat sugar. But roasted almonds, salted roasted almonds. I eat so many almonds. It's really bananas.
Do you love any fruit? Any fruits, sweet fruit?
I don't really eat fruit because it's got so much sugar. I eat berries. I like a good bowl of blueberries.
You don't even do fruit sugar? Like your sugar is
She said
out.
blueberries. Blueberries has this natural.
Yeah, blueberries. But yeah, no, that's when people think that I'm too extreme is when I'm like, I would not eat a banana for sure. No, it's kind of a hobby for me.
Extreme. Honestly, I wish I could be more like that because I'm a sweet-aholic too.
What I found is that it was much easier to give it up altogether than to have it a little bit. I was just like, I could give it I'm like an all or nothing person. I'm like, I can have no sugar so much more easily than I could have a little sugar.
Oh, girl. Yes, that I can relate. Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh, I don't
that's a good one.
know.
It's got to be a good one too.
It's got to be a good one. I don't know.
You've got.
I'm not a pop culture-y person.
Who's your academic?
It doesn't have to be celebrity. It could be somebody that people know.
Who's your celebrity academic crush?
I don't know. Oh my gosh, I feel like so lame.
Could be a historical figure.
Well, if I could have maybe Samuel Johnson, who's incredibly unattractive, I definitely would not have wanted to like get with Samuel Johnson, but I would have loved to like sit down and have a drink with Samuel Johnson.
Yeah.
Hold on,
you can't have it all.
Or Ben Franklin. He was a player. Ben Franklin clearly, he got around. That guy brought.
Did he really?
It. Oh, like yeah, for sure. Yeah, but
like
he
brought it like with women.
Yeah,
this is Samuel Johnson.
That's Samuel Johnson. Yeah, he was not. He had a lot of issues. But yeah, Benjamin Franklin. Yeah, no, I think he was in France and he was he
was a player.
I think so.
With the ladies?
I think he was.
I mean, look at that bod.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look, he invented bifocals. What's sexier than that?
Okay. What is your greatest hope for your book when it comes out?
Well, I really feel that sometimes there is a proverb. This is not a secret of adulthood that I wrote, but we've all heard it. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Yes. And I do think there are times in our lives where we will read one sentence and suddenly we know the way forward, or we can make a decision, or we have clarity on a difficult situation. And just like one sentence somehow like unlocks that. And I really hope that with this little book that people will somehow find something that for them in that moment will really resonate in a way that's helpful. Like everything that's in it was something that was really helpful to me at some point, and I hope that will be the experience of people who read it.
Well, I know it will be. And everybody, y'all, you can connect with Gretchen on her social media at Gretchen Rubin. Her new book, Secrets of Adulthood, is out April 1st, and you can get it any and everywhere books are sold. We didn't even talk about the Happier app. I mean, you've got an app that is called the Happier app. I just downloaded it. You've got all the things. So y'all go download the Happier app. I love it so far.
I have it telling me to go to bed at 11.
You have
That's good. There you go. That's good advice, Zach.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure you listen to Gretchen's podcast too, Happier with Gretchen Rubin. That is with your sister, you said.
Yes. My sister's a TV showrunner and producer in Los Angeles. And she's also my favorite happiness guinea pig. She's like the innocent bystander who has like, she calls me a happiness bully. So that will tell you a lot.
She's the ultimate focus group.
Yes, right? She is.
Ultimate focus
group. That is her fate.
Right.
Yes.
Y'all go check out Gretchen everywhere. Get the book, download the app, go take all the quizzes on the website. And Gretchen, thank you for coming. You're brilliant, but you're so relatable. And like I said, you just have this quality, this magic about you. I want to be your best friend.
Well, thank you. I love this conversation. I feel like we could keep talking all afternoon.
We could. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Zach Miller is the executive producer of The Kim Gravel Show. His production company is Uncommon Audio. Our producer is Kathleen Grant, the brunette exec. Production help from Emily Breeden and Sarah Noto. Our cover art is designed by Sanaz Huber at Mammarian Creative. Our show is edited by Mike Kligerman. Our guest intros are performed by Roxy Reese. Our guest booking is done by Central Talent Booking. Our ads are furnished by True Native Media. And y'all, I want to give a big, huge thank you to the entire team at QVC Plus. And a special thank you to our audience for making this community so strong. If you are still listening, then you must have liked a few episodes along the way. So tell somebody about it. Tell somebody about this show. And join our mailing list at thekimgravelshow.com. I cannot do this show without you, and so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. I hope you've gained a little bit of encouragement, light, and love from watching and listening to The Kim Gravel Show. I love y'all so much. Until next time, bye y'all.